Monaco, the crown jewel of Formula One, a relic from days gone by, kept alive thanks to tradition and passion. A unique street circuit that's generally too small for modern F1 cars to pass on track, making it a competition of pit strategy. But what happens when you entirely remove the need for pit stops in a race like this? Welcome to Race Weekend Update. Let's talk about how that race was terrible, but also gave me hope for this season.
We heard you say that it was a bit boring. I guess.
How was it for you?
Oh! Max doesn't mince words, especially when he's saying what we're all thinking. But it gets better.
Most of the race, we were all driving like 4 seconds of the pace, I think. So the red flag basically ruined it a bit because then everyone had a free pit stop.
There's really no other way to sum up this race. Exciting start, then absolutely ruined by the red flag after turn 1. The worst possible thing that could have happened for the quality of racing was for that flag to hit on lap 1, allowing teams to change their tires and effectively remove the need for pit stops entirely, thanks to them having technically run 2 compounds. Before we get too far into it, I want to make 2 things clear. I'm happy for Leclerc, and I love Monaco. It's one of my favorite historical tracks. I fully recognize that it's not really suitable for modern F1 cars, but it forces teams to jockey for position through pit strategy, and honestly, I enjoy seeing this older style of race, reminiscent of the times right before DRS. Yes, it wasn't the most exciting era, but it requires a different skill set and mindset from the drivers and the teams, and it's a nice way to mix things up. Like playing your old N64 because you're bored of your PS5. It's a fun change of pace, even if it's a downgrade in quality. But this year, Monaco was the Grand Prix equivalent of Superman 64. I can't believe that I'm saying this because it wasn't a race that Verstappen won, but this was the most boring race I have ever watched.
Definitely one of the dullest of races I think I've been in.
Given how the ground effects era has been playing out, I would have assumed that a race where Verstappen won would have taken the prize for most boring race ever. But apparently, this is the one title Max won't be winning. Regardless of how boring the race was though, nothing can take away from Charles' achievement. He won his home race! In fact, that's the most exciting thing that happened this weekend. If you ignore the Indy 500. Leclerc lucked out, sailing from pole to victory, safely protected from Ferrari's strategic incompetence thanks to the lack of pit stops. This almost puts him within striking distance of Verstappen, and while it doesn't mean we're going to have an actual title fight on our hands, it gives me hope that we're going to get more variety this season than we got last season. 2023 had just 3 winners across 2 teams: Verstappen, Perez, and Sainz. 2024 has already had 4 different drivers across 3 different teams: Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, and Leclerc. Even if Max leads the championship all season, at least other drivers and other cars are still in the mix for wins. This season, I'm hoping it's more like Vettel winning 2010 than when Vettel won 2013. I don't care if Max wins it all, so long as he has to work for it, and other drivers have a legitimate shot at winning each race. And on that subject, we have the Canadian Positivity Guy here to talk about the race. Just because you're in a car that can win, doesn't mean that you will win. Case in point, former King of the Streets, Sergio Perez. He got taken out by Haas-hole Kevin Magnussen, but here's the thing. Perez should have never been in the mix with a Haas. So yes, it may not have been entirely his fault that he got taken out of the race, but it is his fault for being that far back in the first place. Max has shown us what that Red Bull is capable of, and for it to get knocked out in Q1 is a travesty. It's the sort of thing that should never happen. Like the door getting sucked off a plane mid-flight. Just kidding, I value my life. I would never criticize Boeing. And speaking of getting sucked off mid-flight, tell your mom I had a great time on the way home from our vacation together. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Oh, hey, it's my dad, the guy who is renting me this space.
Wow, and also a lot of my stuff I collected over the last, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years is all up on the wall here. And you know, I was cleaning up my office the other day and I found something. I thought you'd get a kick out of this.
Oh, very cool.
And you get this.
That is so cool.
Isn't that neat?
That is awesome.
I was just sitting up on the wall. I didn't even notice it there. And I thought, you know what? It needs a little cleaning. It was coated in dust. I should have done a video of the dirt that was in it.
It's battery operated.
Yeah.
So you could drive this thing around?
I guess so. I put a little remote. I don't even think it was remote control back in those days. I don't know. Is this the on-off button? Maybe. I don't know. But hey, I thought you'd like it. Look good on the wall somewhere.
I appreciate it. You'll have to come back later and tell us more about the other stuff that's on the wall.
I won't interrupt you next time. All right, see you later.
Thanks, Dad. During the post-race show, Laura Winter put on a masterclass for how to get yourself invited to a party. Let's take a look.
But can I just ask, Charles said this is going to be a very big night for all of us celebrating here. Can you give us an insight to what's planned for a party tonight for the Leclerc family?
Yeah, it's time to party now. If
you know all about that, don't you?
Oh, you're Alpine, you can.
I put red on, don't worry.
Yeah, you're invited if you want, but
thank you.
big party.
We'll see, we'll get the invite. Thank you very much. I've heard there's a big party, Fred. Are we invited?
The prince invited me at the party tonight.
It's going to be a big party. I've got the trophy in my back pocket and a party invite for tonight as well.
As it turns out, the trick to getting invited to exclusive parties is to put people on the spot by asking them on live television. For the poll of the week, this week I asked you to give the race in Monaco a grade. More than half of respondents gave it a D or an F for obvious reasons, and 16% thought it was average, giving it a C. And the remaining 19% must be Charles Leclerc fans, because that's the only reason I can think of that you'd give this race a B or an A. Or maybe they just really hate Esteban Ocon and were happy to see him take himself out of the race by being a bad teammate. Seriously, Ocon must be one of the worst teammates in all of history. In my opinion, the top 3 worst teammates of all time are, in this order, number 3, Tanya Harding. Number 2, Judas, and number 1, Esteban Ocon. Pierre Gasly is right to be furious. And sure, you can give Ocon credit for taking responsibility for his actions and apologizing, but it doesn't change what he did. It's like when Louis C.K. publicly acknowledged and apologized for jerking off in front of those women. Like, yes, it's great you're admitting you were in the wrong and not fighting it, but you should have never put that person who you supposedly respect in that position in the first place. Instead of using the end of this video to direct you to the next thing of mine you should watch, I'm going to instead tell you about something cool that happened in my life. Comedian Josh Adam Myers pulled me out of the audience and brought me on stage, and together we spent like 10 minutes just going back and forth, making up a song on the spot, and it was so much fun. He's been posting clips of it to his Instagram and TikTok, and I'll link them below. If you think it's fun, maybe check him out and let him know I sent you.